Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Singing in the Rain, a musical that came out in 1952. It is a musical that I've heard a lot of people recommend recently as just being an amazing film, and a lot of people that have watched it for the first time recently saying those things, which is always like encouraging for people. I mean, it's one thing for somebody who studies film or has been into film and, really has a wide breadth of film knowledge. Like they've gone back into old libraries and watched old films, which that's like a big blind spot for me. There's a lot of classic cinema that I've just not seen. Just tons of movies that are well regarded. So part of, the advantage of me doing this show is that it gives me an excuse I can talk about whatever movie I want. So why not dip into some of these classics and talk about them? Because, it definitely helps give a better perspective on film. And it's amazing to see how well movies were made even back in 1952, whereas in modern day there are major motion pictures that are filmed at a lower quality than they were in 1952. Now they may have way larger productions. There might be 90% CG and fight scenes, and movies are just made differently today. But as far as execution and just the beauty of what a film can be, it's it doesn't require the technology we use today to make a beautiful film. It really doesn't. You have to be able to capture video, you have to be able to capture audio, and then you have to be able to edit those things in a manner which can be done on every smartphone nowadays. So everybody can make a movie. You don't need to have like the high-end film production stuff. Like you can, given your restrictions, still produce high-quality cinema. It is possible. But yeah, this musical, which one of the big glaring blind spots in my film education, my film knowledge, is musicals in general. Not a genre that I spend a lot of time getting into, but I am doing it more. Last week I talked about Little Shop of Horrors. This week it's Singing in the Rain. And this one, obviously, like everybody says, it is amazing. And it's not just the musical moments and the amazing dancing. It is kind of crazy while watching this. I could not help but thinking how much modern day musicals are just now that type of creative voice is primarily focused on and surrounding and implemented in TikTok. Like TikTok is the the app personification, the social media network personification of Hollywood movies. I mean, TikTok is a collaborative music platform where people are known for dancing. Music and dancing, along with, people talking into camera, all of which are aspects of a musical film. So it's like if you were to deconstruct musicals and the elements that comprise and compose and create a musical, if you were to take all those elements and boil them down into a social media app platform, you would have TikTok, which is kind of crazy because some of the dancing in this, obviously, I mean, because I've been on TikTok for a little over a year, it's probably my most enjoyable platform to watch, to go through and get lost in. I will binge and lose an hour effortlessly on TikTok. And I'm not just seeing dancing. it is a part of it, but there's some amazing dancing going on. And that level and craziness of dancing was going on for a long time because there are some amazing dance moves and choreography in Singing in the Rain. Like, you could almost produce a remake of Singing in the Rain with clips from TikTok. Like, there's probably enough clips of dancing and singing and all those things and duets to somehow create a very similar product that is Singing in the Rain. But the dancing is amazing. Obviously, the singing is amazing. Performances are great. But it's also, the movie is interesting at the story it's telling. And the story is in some ways similar to Boogie Nights, where their industry is being upended by new technology. In Boogie Nights, it was VHS tapes, changing the landscape, making things cheaper, making amateur, like, porn a thing. This is the implementation of audio being synced with the video. This is when movies became talkies. They went from the silent film era to the era that has been. Not until color, and then not until 3D has cinema really, and surround sound, I guess, really changed. And I think surround sound has done a lot more to really... I think surround sound is far more immersive of a technology than 3D ever was. Surround sound is amazing. And as far as the immersion you get with a good surround sound system, not even good, just surround sound is so good. But yeah, this movie has all of that, but it's that. So it's these two actors who are like the duo that star in all of the silent films. And it's this guy who came from, nothing. He just moved to LA with the dream. Him and his buddy doing these two-man vaudeville kind of shows, playing instruments, dancing, singing, being funny. And then getting into movies where the guy, one of them sticks with the piano and is kind of the musical background to set the tone while they're filming. And the other guy kind of worked his way into as an actor, starting off with being a stuntman and then, kind of moving his way to the point where he becomes the leading man. And he becomes the leading man opposite this woman, and they end up doing all of the films. They're the kind of, it's like what Tom Hanks and... I'm blanking on her name. What's her name? Tom Hanks and... why is Renelle Zellweger's name pop? That's not her name. But you know what I mean? Like, they did You've Got Mail. They did Sleepless in Seattle. I gotta look this up. This is horrible. Is it Meg Ryan? Meg Ryan. It's like Tom Cruise and Meg Ryan, in the 90s. That's how these, but they're doing the silent films. And it's even, there's a third character that comes through. It's this woman who's, looks down on the actors who act in silent films, because she's a stage actor where the actors are really speaking, where, you're given, it's not just how you, with the movements of your body, it is so much more than that. And that how like stage acting was so much more prestigious than being a film actor in the silent days. But then once the talkies came around, that kind of flipped the whole who's in charge of who's the captain now, to take a line from a Tom Hanks movie that's not starring Meg Ryan. A little over 4 years ago, I started The Many Faces. It's an ongoing series of abstract ink portraits. Each piece is improvised. Each piece is released daily. Start collecting now. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/TMF. That stands for The Many Faces. And save yourself 25% when you use coupon code RTF. That stands for The Ray Taylor Show, because that's what you're listening to, and I love you. So I want you to save 25% when you use that coupon code. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/TMF and use coupon code RTS to save 25% when you start collecting one of over 1,600 original ink paintings. By myself, I made them. Support me. I love you. Back to the show. So there's that interesting dynamic, and she's also the love interest to this guy, who's the leading man, which that aspect of it is a whatever. Like, the romance never really is that much, holds that much weight in this story. His relationship with his buddy, the piano guy, which maybe this movie is like coding as, like, which a lot of old Hollywood stuff did, was like coding. I guess it's called coding in like homosexual coding, like kind of showing a homosexual relationship without overtly saying it's, I believe is what the term. Anyway, that's what there's definitely more of that bond between them, which I enjoy. His buddy as the piano player, he has an amazing "Just Make Him Laugh" song is great. He's like this slapstick, super slapstick comedy. A lot of this movie is comedy. There is a lot of comedy in this too, and like not only just slapstick comedy, but just like subtle facial like reactions that set a comedy tone to it, that like just a subtlety that a lot of comedies made today don't even come close to utilizing. So amazing comedy. The friendship between him and his buddy that plays the piano, this other woman that becomes his love interest, is whatever, but she's great, obviously clearly talented. So she brings, when things flip and the industry changes and audio becomes a big thing, you also see how the struggle for directors now, that they have to have a quiet set, that they have to be locked away in this sound booth where they can monitor the sounds, placements of the mic. There's a whole funny bit where they're trying to place the mic correctly on this actress, but she's not very good at a lot of things. So she has an inability to speak into the mic, so they keep trying to place the mic in a way that's going to capture her voice. And, you have issues with like pearls. And it's weird that there's a scene like that in this movie, in a film from 1952, where modern day people who record audio only content known as podcasts can somehow not have that attention to detail while recording their audio only product in modern day 2021, where there will be audio that is just horrible. People eating on mic, having microphones that are like lapel mics, just rustling with clothing. Like there is some audio issues that happen modern day in podcasting that were clearly and expertly expressed in this movie in a funny comedy bit, which I enjoyed. And the whole thing is so that this dynamic duo, it's like Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, but if Meg Ryan had the most annoying voice, and that duo went from silent films to all of a sudden having to speak and sing and be their own voices in their own films, and Meg Ryan just having like the most annoying, screeching, whiny voice possible. So that's where, the issue, and then they have like, it's almost like a, what is that? I'm trying to think of what, but there's like this voiceover thing that they do. They're recording ADR. So they get the woman who was the stage performer. They have this idea because the movie's not turning out right. This other lead is just not able to speak, which it's weird that they have this rule. Like they have this new technology, which should also come with an abundance of potential, because there are no rules. There's no like before there was the ability to have sound in movies, there were no rules for how to do that. So when you have the ability, the technology to add sound to your video, for whatever reason, Hollywood set in place these rules of like people need to speak with a certain type of accent and speak in this certain like almost quasi British way, which if you see in most old movies, they have this very sing-songy kind of almost performative fake way of talking, which is like, why have those rules? It's okay to have a movie that has stylized dialogue and whatever, but let people speak how they speak. That's part of how you can relate to the work, is having things that are relatable. And I don't know. That was an interesting part, that this new technology comes around and people are so like locked into having to follow these imaginary rules that exist for creating art. There are no rules. People that say that there are rules to things are not creative people. They're probably good business people, but not very good creatively. Because creativity is all about understanding there are no rules. There are no wrong way to do a thing. There's just new and different. That was just anyway. So it's this. They're trying to make a movie, right? There's the first talkie came out, huge blockbuster, raked in all this money. So they want to do this thing, this imaginary movie studio. They want to make their talkie, and they have it, and it's just going to be a straight up drama. But it's horrible. This woman can't speak into the microphone. Her voice is annoying. It's horrible. Gets horrible reception from the, they do test screenings. So they go in, and the lead is like, I know what we're going to do. We're going to turn this into a musical, right? We'll have what's-her-face. She's going to do all the singing. We'll do ADR. We're going to make this happen. Like, very Milli Vanilli. Like, Milli Vanilli probably watched this movie and went like, oh, we could have a career. Although it doesn't turn out, like, if they must not have watched the entire film, because by the end of the film, it is revealed who the actual voice talent is. But yeah, Milli Vanilli could have learned some lessons if they had seen this movie before, at least seen the entire film before trying to have a career. But yeah, so they try to make this movie. They're going to make it a musical, which is, it's interesting. It's like the movie within the movie. Obviously, it lends itself to having great musical performances that fit effortlessly, but there's also good performances that are outside of the musical moments. So it's a good balance between acting and then the songs and choreography and the dancing, which is also just amazing as well. But yeah, it's a movie that is also speaking to the honesty of art. I mean, that's kind of what the big reveal of the end is that so much of Hollywood in this movie is made fun of and made fun of for being how fake it is. I mean, the beginning of this film is a red carpet event, and it's very almost mocking Hollywood, right? In some ways, it is definitely making fun of just the whole circus act that goes into a premiere of a film, and just how people speak, to the media or after an event, or who gets to speak, how that's all controlled. I mean, it's very much a critique on Hollywood. The executive that runs this fictional movie studio is dumb. Like, they are a very dumb person, definitely the dumbest character in the entire film. The talent, the actors hold all of the control for some reason in this film. Like, that's very unrealistic unless things were different in Hollywood, which I don't think they were back then. But there's an instance where one of the actors is able to leverage her desire, her star power in order to get her way. Instead, I mean, it's a very the executive in this is very stupid, which is fine, which is kind of also a commentary on how fake and how fraudulent Hollywood is. It's like the people who are in charge of making these pieces of art have no idea what they're doing. Like, they have no idea. They're just following who's ever able to convince them, who's ever the better salesperson is what they follow. Although now it's more they're following metrics and how other properties perform in other mediums. Like, it's completely, they're still stupid. They're just instead of listening to artists, they're listening to analytics, which is a bit of a bummer. But yeah, overall, love this movie. Obviously, great musical, great dancing. The story is great, which that's because sometimes you watch these older movies and it's like, okay, it's like a really basic story and it's just a really slow movie. And it really just feels like you're doing homework so that you can feel like you can talk about it if people bring it up in a conversation. But yeah, Singing in the Rain, clearly easy to see why it's such a classic and a great movie, man. Just a lot of fun. And probably if I were doing a top musicals, the top 5, Singing in the Rain would probably be number 1. I don't know. It might be. It's really good, though. I really enjoyed it. Even if there were no musical aspects, it's a good movie. Like, the story's interesting. The characters are interesting. Like, what it's talking about in this transition of film and Hollywood. It's all interesting. All good. So definitely check it out. I think I saw it on HBO Max. But just check the Just Watch app. I think it's what it's called. Anyway, find it, stream it, buy it. It's all good. Singing in the Rain. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Follow the show on Instagram. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!